Welcome back to the Milwaukee Market Update. We're covering real estate news and data and breaking it down to help you understand how it impacts your real estate decisions. Teaser is 2026 spring market here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with 25 plus offers on one home, maybe.
It might be, man. It might be. What we are talking about this episode. We're going through the latest stats. Sales are down, prices are up, inventory is also up, but we're also getting 25 offers on a house. We're breaking this down. We're peeking under the covers to get the full story, breaking this down by home type and price point to apply it to you. And then we got our favorite game here today. Ty is guessing the list price. I'm going over some listings. Ty has no ideas what the photos are, addresses, and he's taking a shot at
I'm
guessing list
anxious.
prices. And you did pretty good.
Everything is on the line when guessing the price. That's our job. But we're here to give you the info you need to make the right decisions regarding your real estate. Should I buy a home now? Should I be selling? Is the housing market about to crash? Are the headlines I'm reading, content I'm seeing in social media true or even relevant to me?
And if you are new to the show, thank you for joining us. And if you're returning because you like what we do, what we talk about, thank you for joining us again here. Please, if you could, take a second to subscribe. It really helps us and helps us get this content out to anyone that you may know or that people that are interested in buying and selling in Milwaukee. You can follow us on Instagram at Horizon Homes MKE or reach out to us at our website, homewithhorizon.com.
I'm Ty
I'm Nick.
with Compass, your local real estate experts.
Well, Ty, another week in the books here. Good to see you here. We're recording virtually for this episode. It's February 18th. And, you and I were just discussing here, when does spring market start? And my belief is March 1st. You kind of believe that the Super Bowl kicks off the spring market. Either way, we can debate
Either
back and
we're very
forth.
close, and last week it was 60 degrees, so let's just call it spring.
And spring is sprung, spring is here. Today we're talking a lot about the data, what we're seeing in the metrics, what kind of the main things that we track in the market are looking like from a numbers perspective. But before we kind of do that, I just want to talk about kind of what I've seen these last couple of weeks here in the market, because I think I've been working with a lot of buyers, touring houses, writing offers, and I feel like these last 1 to 2 weeks has really been the first time that we're seeing some of that crazy competition out there.
Definitely.
Last
Something we brought up in the meeting yesterday is a few examples, not only from within our team, but also some of our peers out there that have gotten into some competitive situations already here, even before February 18th.
Definitely. Yeah. And I feel like last winter in January, it was competitive still. Listings that I had still had several offers and a handful of offers between that 250 to 400K price point. Talking to other realtors, what I've seen myself here too these last 2 weeks, just off the top of my head, we had a realtor on our team. I think he was competing against 15 other offers for a single family house in Cudahy. Another realtor that I'm super close with in Brookfield that was listed at, I believe it was 400. There was 24 offers on that one. Obviously, these are little snapshots, and it's
Mhm.
not great to just go off of little snapshots, but that is the amount of demand that is out there right now. 24 people looking in Brookfield, 15 looking in Cudahy. And if you pull up a search of active homes in either of those areas, there's not 24 homes for sale in Brookfield. There's not 15 homes for sale in Cudahy. And I think you also brought an interesting point up yesterday when we were talking with our team about hidden demand. And I think you should kind of share what that is too and kind of your thoughts there also, because I loved what you said in that.
Yeah, and we don't have the exact showing numbers, but to hit 15 offers and 24 offers on this Cudahy as well as this Brookfield home, there had to have at least been that many showings. Most time we see that, honestly, less than half of all people write an offer. So just double that in terms of probably the showing traffic that each of those homes saw. But we always make a call. A lot of people do to see, hey, how's interest so far when you reviewing offers? How many offers out of that 24 to then essentially, let's call it 50 showings, called the agent and they said, yeah, we've got 15 offers right now. And the buyer's just like, yeah, not for me. So there's hidden demand out there for sure. And like you said, like how many homes actually sell under $500,000 in Brookfield in a given year, under 325,000 in Cudahy in a given year? There's hidden demand, and that's actually one of the articles we brought to the table today. Is sales transactions are down in Milwaukee, but are just like last year. The price growth is going up really fast as a result of this hidden demand.
Yeah, Very, very well said. And I think as a buyer, we talk about this a lot. It's now's the time for you to start prepping if you're looking at purchasing a home this year. And we made a podcast episode about if you're looking at buying a home this year, what you should be doing. Give that a listen because we kind of go over just the high level first 4 to 5 things that you should start doing. But it is competitive out there for buyers. We've seen it ourselves. And should we dive into the stats kind of here a bit, or anything else you want to talk on before we
Well,
do
I think
so?
let's just hit the cliff notes here of, again, the Biz Times here for Milwaukee essentially did an article of just like this weird disparity on most of the headlines are actually reporting on the negative headline, who figured that they'd be doing that. Metro Milwaukee home sales are down in January. That really very much leads into somebody thinking, okay, the Milwaukee market is not very strong. There's not enough home selling. Those who follow the show and that are kind of a little bit more tapped into the real estate market know if you have nothing to sell, you're going to have low sales volume. So like that's really the main thing here. And they kind of speak to like a sales versus price paradox. The actual stat line as we look at our 3 county stats that we'll hit on in a second is number of homes sold for single families in a 3 county area down 13%. Sales price increase year over year, January to January, up 13%. So home price appreciation, again, as you just bundle up, I think it was like over 500 sales in January. Prices were up double digit year over year. Now, there can certainly be some mix in there and what actually sold, but 2 years in a row, we're seeing a very hot start to the spring market. So just like we predicted about a month ago, we're probably going to have a very similar situation going to this next year. The reason that they're talking about this is lock-in effect. There's still just a lot of people who cannot move from a 3% interest rate when rates are 6 to 6.5% today. And given all this, even with double-digit price appreciation in a month here, we're still affordable relative to the coasts. Like that's the summary of it. So obviously they've got their nice clickbait article, title here, but then it goes into underneath the covers, which is what we keep on saying. There's just a big difference between sometimes how it's reported and like what reality is, boots on the ground. And these news articles like can't capture what we just mentioned, which is the hidden demand. I think we need to put our little bit in for one of these articles of just the basics and the thought process behind we're only seeing one home sell, but there was 25 people who wanted it. How do you actually quantify that demand?
Agreed. Yeah, and that's like what's so interesting. It's also crazy that you had 13% less percentage closed and then about 13% increase in price. Like those numbers are 1 to 1. Is that just like
Yeah.
an anomaly, or is that actually how this works? We'll have to get like a statistician or someone that
Or AI.
or AI can probably answer for us. Yeah. But like I think on the surface, if you're just looking at that article, it sounds like homes aren't selling. It
Mhm.
sounds like maybe now is a bad time to sell my house if there's 13% fewer transactions happening this year than there was last year, when I would argue it's maybe one of the best times right
Yeah.
now to sell your house, just looking at what we've seen in the market here these last couple of weeks.
Yeah. And honestly, like, my perspective, obviously, it was hot for some of the stuff you looked at in early spring. For me, I had a few listings that came in where it was lots of strong showing traffic, but a little bit more challenging to get some pen to paper on some offers. And I think some of that was like we had some aspirational prices that we came to the market with, which was our strategy going in. But there was like 20 showings in 2 weeks for a TOSA home that's in that sweet spot price point we talk about. And eventually we got the offer and it was with good terms and it's going to be a very smooth transaction overall, which when you think about it, like, okay, being out there for 2 to 3 weeks relative to what the market used to be like, that actually would be a breath of fresh air if that was a little bit more the norm. And that's potentially would look like if we doubled inventory, but not looking like this is the year. But
Yeah.
why don't we just go ahead?
Yeah, yeah. If we kind of just run through the baseball card stats here,
Mhm.
kind of what we like to look at. This is all comparing from this year's month to last year's month. So new listings are just about flat. Closed sales, like we mentioned, are down almost 14% this year to last year from a month perspective. Median sales price is up about 13.5%. Again, we're seeing like a 1 to 1 correlation between the decline in closed sales percentage wise as to the increase in median sales price up 13, average sales price up 8.4%. Percent of list price received is about flat to last year, 97.5%. That means on average, homes are selling at 97% of the list price. That's very typical to see in this is January numbers that we're looking at. Very typical to see that number under 100% in January And then as we move into the spring and summer months, that number gets closer to 100 and then exceeds it around a 101, 102 number. Inventory of homes for sale, about flat. That's how many listings are active right now. And then months of supply. This one is kind of interesting in my opinion. We're up to 2.7 months of supply. That's a 15% increase, so a double-digit increase from where we were last year at 2.3. We're looking at a difference of 0.4 months. So less than 2 weeks difference of inventory, but when you're going from 2.3 to 2.7, that's a big percentage change. We always talk about a balanced market is between 4 to 6 months. That means buyers and sellers have equal leverage when it comes to buying and selling a house. Anything less than 4 is a seller's market, meaning sellers have more leverage. Anything over 5.5, 6 is a buyer's market. Buyers have more leverage. So we're still strongly in this seller's market where sellers have the leverage. Buyers are having to compete against other people. And I think what we'll do too is kind of break that down by price point. So I think that's what really matters. We have a ton of inventory at the $0 to $200,000 range, which I think is affecting and kind of skewing these numbers here. Anything you want to kind of talk through on this before we kind of dive into it here, though?
Nothing at the high level. I think the very first thing I want to talk about is inventory because you're talking about the months of supply.
Yeah.
I think just to like set the baseline here, we're starting the year now with, 1,350 homes. 2019, the year started with like 2,700 homes. So
what
like
was the number now to 2019?
1,350. And like essentially we have half as much inventory to start the year. I know the main comparison we've made recently is most of the time we have about 30 to 40% less inventory than pre-COVID, but we're essentially starting from behind. And if we think through like this months of supply sort of situation, we used to start the year with about 3,000 homes, let's call it. There was several years in a row, 2019, 18, 17, close to 3,000 homes. If you think of like the pace that we're selling homes at today, that'd be fantastic. That'd be like 6 months of supply and people being able to have more of a balanced market and not have as much of a crazy frenzy. But, to kind of draw the comparison there, that was 4 months of supply back then, meaning sales were probably 50% more per month at that point. We could probably grab the exact stat, like more homes sold in a less frothy market back in the day when we just had inventory to actually support it. Roughly what that number probably looked like was, yeah, closer to like 700, 800 homes that we would sell. So up 25, 30%. That's, I think, the main draw thing here is like, if you have nothing to sell, it's going to lead to not selling things. A very obvious point to make.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it though. And I think a couple interesting things there too is that we had almost doubled the inventory and we were still in what I would call a balanced market. Mm-hmm. Like you as a buyer had time to go and look at houses. You could look at a couple over a weekend, choose your favorite versus waiting for that perfect one to pop up. And double the inventory back then, balanced market. And so I think if we're looking at doubling the inventory, I think Milwaukee needs that. I think our days on market and our months of supply is a tough market for buyers to be in right now. And if we replicated that and we had double the listings and buyers and sellers at equal power, I think that's what a balanced market is. And I think everyone would really appreciate that. I really do. And I would love to see that happen.
And what I'd like to point out, we've said before, more of like an anecdote of what probably would happen. We started that year with 4 months of supply. And the beginning price point that year is $200,000. Again, half of what it is today. It ended that year at about $225,000 for the median sales price. So we actually had almost 8 to 9% sales price growth that year, even with starting the inventory with double the amount of inventory and higher months of supply than what we have right now. Like in terms of like predicting the future, it's right there. It's in the data, unless we had kind of that black swan effect.
Yeah. And I think I kind of want to talk about this fewer number of closed sales because I think that's like a scary number, seeing closed sales are down 13%. And closed sales is a lagging indicator. New listings is kind of the ultimate number to determine how many homes are available on the market. And if there's no homes listed or fewer homes listed, guess what? We're going to have fewer homes pending and we're going to have fewer homes sold. Everything kind of derives from the number of new listings. And if we just look back, November, December, and January, so of 25, November new listings were down 10%. December, they were down 7%. January, they were up about 2%. So you have 2 to 3 months of inventory either being down from a new listings perspective or flat, which, yeah, no surprise that we now have fewer homes that have sold because we had less inventory to choose from. Is this a
Yeah.
trend that we're starting to see? Who knows? Because now just looking at January, new listings were flat, up slightly. And so that's kind of, I think, the big thing that we're all kind of looking at is what's that listing activity going to be like. November and December were also, I feel like, unseasonably cold and snowy this year too. Like we had
Yep.
triple the snowfall this year as we did last year.
Mhm.
As soon as November 1st hit, maybe it was December 1st, it was like, yeah, winter is here and it's
And it's
not
been
going
on
to
the
get
ground
above
until
freezing.
2 days ago, for sure. It's
Yes.
definitely been since I've been here in the Milwaukee market, in the raw number of homes is about 150 homes less were listed in November, December, yes, in November, December. Okay, if you just one for one transfer those over, that makes up the entire difference inside of the closed sales. I mean, we're down 80 sales this month. Like we could have had a positive month if we just had the inventory there. Think about we know exactly just off two homes. There was 40 buyers ready to go if you just
Yeah.
added 80 more homes to the inventory.
And I also think like looking at the numbers, November, December, especially in January, like in December, there were 500 homes that got listed last year for sale. In May, we have 1,500 homes that get listed for sale. So we have triple the homes that get sale in the warm months of the year versus the cold months of the year. And so I think also looking at, it's kind of like the months of supply percent change. Like you're looking at such a small number that's any increase or decrease in that is going to be a significant change, which is kind of what happens at this time of year where it's winter, there's fewer transactions. Each transaction is going to have a bigger impact in the data set too. But yeah, the data is correct as far as home sales are down right now.
Definitely. So next thing we've got, to keep this data trend going on, we've also got the housing summary. This is how we can actually break some of these stats down into the price point level. Closed sales is like one of the main headlines. So I think it'd be best to kind of just start there on that tab.
Yeah.
And the trend that we're seeing here isn't necessarily like a positive thing as we try to keep this like affordability story, which is in those sweet spots. I mean, the very first one of the biggest drops that we're seeing is 100 to 200K price points. So that is a lot of the starter home inventory, but also I'd say part of the investor single family home kind of, territory. We're looking at down 36% in closed sales there. One of the things we've talked about in the past is how many of these homes are not just like there's less inventory, which we'll be able to confirm in a second, versus there just are not any homes that are really falling under that bucket anymore. They're all selling north of $200,000. And potentially we can see it because it wasn't as big of a drop, but still in line with what the overall number was. 200 to 300,000, down 15% in the closed sales. And then essentially the next three biggest buckets of 300 to 500K, 500 to 700, positive 700 to a million. Like we're actually seeing more sales happen in the higher price points, which that correlation is likely. There's just homes that used to be $400,000 Wauwatosa homes that are now $500,000 plus Tosa homes.
Agreed. Yeah, like the market is shifting up as we talk about 13% price growth, 6% price growth. Every one of these we get together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's fewer options under 300K as the price appreciates. I think that's really interesting to look at. I think too, like we always talk about, it's good to get small in your data sets, like get focused on what you're looking at because that's where the real story is here. And that's kind of what this is summarizing it by price range. I think looking at the months of supply by price range is like the best indicator for a buyer or a seller as far as like what does demand actually look like. And they break it up again by buckets of price groups. So 0 to 100K, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, yada, yada, yada. I think they need to start changing these buckets a bit, if you ask me. I feel like having a bucket from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then all of a sudden we're having these jumps of $200,000 increments and $300,000 increments. I feel like now it's really hard to find good inventory under 200,000, but I digress there.
And I think we want to look at single family, the chart in the middle, like run us through what we're seeing in terms of this month of supply, because that's what our stats are that we talked about on the previous higher level view of the 3-county area.
Yeah.
Like what's this look like by price point for month of supply?
The 200 to 500K price point, typical first time home buyer, 2.3 months of supply. That I think is the main best indicator for a first-time home buyer of what that looks like. That is strongly in a seller's market, and that's kind of anecdotally what we see as well. 0 to 100,000, we have 7.7 months of supply. So if you're looking at buying something 0 to 100,000, think of this as like an investor. You've got a lot of options. 1 to 200K, 3.5 months of supply. So at this sub 200 range, we are in a buyer's market. But this 200 to 500K price point, where the majority of first-time home buyers are looking at, strongly in a seller's market. And then we see some a more balance between 5 to 7 at 3.4 months, still a seller's market. And then we're seeing 700K and up. I would say more of a buyer's market, where you now have some choices. The biggest increase at the 700K to $1 million, 3.4 months of supply to 5 months of supply. Pretty large difference there. So we're seeing like some softness, you could say, in that market as well here too.
Yeah, and we're seeing the inventory essentially was up 60% there. They added about 80 homes into that price point year over year from an inventory perspective. And to go like one click deeper into kind of what you're saying here, and the most important takeaway, from 200,000 to 500,000, if we drill just one layer down and exclude condos and just look at single family, we're looking at 2.2 months of supply from 2 to 300K, 1.7 months from 300 to 500, which is the sweet spot of the median price point.
Wow.
This middle graph, like that is essentially one of the lower numbers that we typically see at like a bigger total during spring market. Like spring market is here in the median price point first time home buyer market of 300 to 500K. Just end of story, point blank. We're here. Sellers market
is crazy.
Spring's here.
That is like the number right there. 1.7 months of supply, typical home, single family.
And that's the biggest bucket of inventory. 500 homes that are active for sale. And, I guess if we go to just single family, 300. So it is the largest pool of inventory inside of that price point as well. 300 versus the next closest is, the 200 to 300K range, 275 homes that were active for sale. So this is when you think of the experience of buying a home in Milwaukee, most of our inventory falls within that range. It's our little, nice bell curve, but it's our fastest moving pocket as well, which makes sense. That's where the affordability is.
Yeah. Okay. What else you want to chime on this here?
I think that's like your recap. Like, what's it feel like? It feels like sometimes 12 to 15 offers, up to 25 offers on like very one-off situations. But most of the time, what it feels like is going to be like the showings are moving quick. It's 4 to 5 days. You see it, Thursday through Sunday, offers are coming in, and you probably have 2 to 5 people that are interested in that home in that 200 to 500K price point. That's what it feels like today in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
But,
well, it's always good. It's always a little refreshing, I would say, looking at this data to be like, okay, what we're seeing is correct, and like what my thoughts are correct. Because when we just look at like the big summary, and I see months of supply increasing, and I see days on market increasing, I'm like, is it really? Because it sure doesn't feel like that out there. But then when we start looking at single families at specific price points, which is kind of where we focus in on and work with, it's exactly what we expect it to be.
Yep, definitely. But I mean, obviously this was super fun for us, but I know you've got additional fun on deck here for the episode as we bring it to a close.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're bringing back a fan favorite here. We try to lighten this up a bit. I know a lot of data heavy episode, and I love the data. Ty, I know you love the data. But we're going to play a game here. Guess the list price. So how this works, I've got 4 listings here, a couple different areas, a couple different price points. I'm going to give the high-level baseball card stats of these listings to Ty. Ty's going to guess what the list price is, all right?
Perfect. Let me turn on my AI voice listener right now.
Not allowed. No AI here. Let's start in Brookfield, okay?
Okay.
Brookfield, we've got a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, 1,600 square feet. Built in 1957. It's a classic ranch, 2-car attached garage. Do you want to hear the description?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Only a career relocation makes this thoughtfully updated 3-bed, 1.5 bath ranch available. Home that reflects pride of ownership. Refreshed take on this classic 50s ranch. Main level is filled with natural light. Unique dining room with natural fireplace. Comfortable bedrooms. Renovated bath. Welcome living room, ideal for everyday living and entertaining. Lower level offers great potential for a future rec room, providing opportunity to add additional living space and value. Outdoors, a master landscape plan has been designed and partially completed, enhancing the treed lot and providing a solid base for future outdoor improvements. A 2.5 car garage, storage shed, and deck complete this well-maintained property, ready for its next chapter.
Hmm. No finished basement, thoughtfully updated. That makes me feel like it's not like really, really updated, but it's like nice.
Okay.
I feel like in, gosh, Brookfield, I mean, it's moving so fast right now that, I mean, if you've got 13% price growth, this should have been like a 399 a year ago. I think it's like a 449.
That's insane.
Mhm.
434.9 is the list price on this.
Yeah.
So I would say we should have set like some parameters on this. I think you're within like 10, 15 grand here.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. And you nailed it with it is thoughtfully updated. It's not brand new,
Mhm.
but it looks nice. It's like move-in ready. You can make it your own. Um, it's been well maintained from what the photos look like. All right, Ty, one
Okay.
for one.
Close.
Yeah. I'm gonna give that to you. That for sure counts. All right.
Yeah. And again, that would have been a 399 list price yet last year.
Yep.
And it's now a 435 essentially. And it probably is going to sell for north of 450, just slightly.
Yep. Cool. Ready for this next one here.
Let's go.
All right, we're moving to your neck of the woods, Shorewood. Okay,
Mm.
your backyard here. I bet you've seen this listing. You've probably seen it in person. Single family, 5 bed, 2 bath, 2,100 square feet. 2.5 car detached garage.
Hmm.
Built in 1927.
Great
All
year.
right, good, solid year. Fall in love with this timeless character of this 1927 brick bungalow. Located in the heart of Shorewood, this isn't your average home. A showcase of period craftsmanship with stunning original woodwork, built-ins, leaded glass windows, and gleaming hardwood floors. This home is uniquely practical, offering a rare oversized garage and an incredible amount of storage space throughout. Lower level features a spacious rec room ready to be a playroom or gym. Beyond the charming interior, enjoy an unbeatable lifestyle with the vibrant shops and dining of Oakland Avenue, just a short stroll away. Experience the perfect blend of historic soul and modern convenience in a home that truly stands out, a rare find in a premier community. 5 bed, 2 bath.
Finished basement. That's what you had.
Um,
Rec room or playroom. Is that what you kind of said?
yeah, it is finished. Yep.
Ooh, sometime, and it sounds close to Oakland.
Yeah, but isn't everything in Shorewood close to Oakland?
Yeah, kind of. But no, there's
Steps,
very close and there's close.
a quick
Steps.
stroll to Oakland.
Quick stroll. A
Mhm.
little bit of on the borderline of fair housing there. But let's see. I'm gonna go. I feel like this is gonna be embarrassing, and I'm gonna be a little bit off. But this feels like a 625 to me.
Jesus Christ, you do it again, man. You
Yeah,
do it again. 619.9.
619.9. There we
Six
go.
nineteen nine. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I think for Shorewood, it's got a lot of the original character to it, like the original tile it looks like, or kind of that like old, like ornate, intricate tile. It's got a
Hmm.
lot of like a wallpaper, original cabinets in the kitchen that have been painted a nice blue. Um, but it's a big home in Shorewood, I'd say. The
Hmm.
exterior is darling. It's like a classic brick. Uh, it looks like a bungalow, but it kind of has like the pointed roofs of more like a Cape Cod, almost kind of like a
Cool.
Polish flat kind of look. But yeah, this good work here on this one. All right, man. Let's see
Thanks,
if we
man.
can stump you on one of these here. Um,
Yeah. Let's make this the last one. That way we don't get too far ahead of my skis here. I want to get a perfect score. Last time I did this was just not good.
okay, all right. Well, we're gonna make this one a hard one then here.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
we've got we're moving up to Fox Point.
Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
it's a 6 bed, 6.5 bath.
Okay.
Total square feet is 7,500.
Hmm.
Um, built in 2013.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Built in
Okay.
2013. Exquisite custom built home on coveted Bennett Lane with expansive lake views from nearly every room. Designed to evoke the charm of a bygone era, it showcases intricate millwork and timeless architectural details. Updates include a custom staircase, solid white oak floors, a chef's kitchen designed with precision, smart home feature, automated blinds, lighting, HVAC zones, and whole house audio, combine modern convenience with classic style. The new luxe primary suites offer a custom walk-in closet. Each bedroom includes its own ensuite bath. Lower level is designed for entertaining with a bar, wine room, music room, billiards room, Dolby Atmos theater, home gym, outdoor stone patio, and private lake stairs.
Jeez.
Create a stunning setting for gathering and relaxation.
Okay. I can I phone or get a hint?
Okay.
Does it start with a 2?
No.
No. Okay, that's high, right?
Hi. What do you mean?
It's not with a 2, it's with a 1
So this is a home on Lake Michigan,
on Okay, so now we're talking like a 3.
7,000 square feet on
Okay.
Lake Michigan.
I'm gonna go with like a 3.3 mil.
I think maybe they should list it there because it's been on the market for 156 days. They're at
Okay.
3.8, 3,795 right now.
I mean, that's not that big of a discount. That's only a little bit below the list price.
At that price point, it is.
Three
Yeah.
eight. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it's fair. 3.3. Yeah, as you kind of say, like has Lake Michigan views, and like on it. There's a difference between views and like let's call it like frontage or being like right up next to it versus like looking through somebody else's front yard and backyard to like see a glimpse of the lake, but you might be confused because it could just be the sky.
hmm Yeah. No. This is on the lake. You've got quite a big walk down there, like quite a treacherous walk to get there, but you are strongly on the lake.
Hmm.
Stunning home. Looks like it could belong in the Hamptons. Jay Schmidt's listing. Shout
Your
out
next
Jay.
purchase.
Yeah, Ashley and I are saving up. We've got only like 3.75 mil to go, but we're doing okay.
That's all right. Can you do a 0.1% down payment on that guy?
I think we could. I think that's how jumbo loans work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not sure if you want to get into that too much, but obviously fun bit there. I mean, pretty close to the pen, right? Last one, you never know which way it's going to go,
Yep.
motivation, everything else. So I mean, 2 for 3. We'll get 2.5 out of 3.
I'll
Let's
say,
call
oh
it.
yeah, we'll round up to 3. Good
At
work,
least I
guys.
wasn't $1 million off like the last time that we
Exactly.
spoke about one of your Brookfield ones you threw at me. But thanks for pulling that together. Obviously, for all those ramping up this year in our Milwaukee spring markets. Good luck. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again next week with your Milwaukee real estate market update.
Bye, guys.